Friday, October the 10th. One game in. Josh Norris is injured and Sabres fans are booing. And I don't know what's happening with Alexander Georgiev either. We're not going to talk a ton about the Buffalo Sabres today. We will talk a little bit about what we saw last night, a resounding loss at the hands of the New York Rangers, and some of the fallout, most notably the Josh Norris injury. We'll find out how long that is and what the response is from the Buffalo Sabres. But things have not gone swimmingly already for the Swords, as we like to say. But, hey, Zach, am I allowed to get ahead of myself here a little bit? Am I allowed to do something really quick before we bring in guests and have conversations about Vegas and the Islanders and the Vancouver guys? Am I allowed, put my hand up nicely, teacher, and ask if I can jump ahead on the program and do something? Just because it tickles me under the chin?
Not mine. You can do whatever you like. I just follow and react as fast as I can.
That's right. You go where you're put, Zach. You go where you're put. The QOD today. The QOD is essentially, what's your biggest surprise a couple of days in? I know it's early, but let's get ahead of ourselves. You're like, I'm trying to get ahead in the show. So the QOD is brought to you by the Ninja Crispy, and we'll get a little bit more into that later on in the program. But I wanted to present you with my two biggest surprises that I've seen so far this year. It's a similar play, and last night it resulted in a goal. You've heard me talk about flipping pucks at goaltenders before, and we've now seen it in 2 nights in a row. So let's really quickly rewind to Wednesday night, the Battle of Alberta. Blake Coleman flips one in on Stu Skinner. Let's just roll this one here first. All right, let's just see Blake Coleman. This will end up being the game-tying goal. Coleman comes in, just a little flip right at Stu Skinner, plays it like a bag of toys, and next thing you know, we're all tied up. Again, it's a little simple flip to the goaltender. The point that I've always made about these plays is you should do them more because you know where the puck's going? No one does, not even the goaltender. That results in a goal. Okay. And then, so I'm feeling pretty good about myself. It's like, oh, okay, that's great. Zary flips it in, and Blake Coleman's there to tap it between Stu Skinner's legs, and we're all tied up, and the Calgary Flames end up winning this thing. And then last night, in the Vegas-San Jose Sharks game, Jack Eichel takes it to a whole new level. Jack Eichel pulls out the J.C. Tremblay. Now, I'm going to get into him here in a couple of seconds. Let's see, for those who didn't stay up to watch this thing last night, let's see how Jack Eichel handles things. Newly minted $13.5 million contract, steps over center ice and just plunk, drops it in front of Alex Nedeljkovic, and it goes in. Now, you might look at that and go, oh, wow, what a soft goal. That's a hard shot to stop. That really, anyone on the ice knows, you got to short hop it if you're the goaltender. You got to get out in front of it like you're a second baseman. But I'm constantly surprised that more players don't do that. Just step over center ice and flip it at goaltenders. Now, I mentioned J.C. Tremblay a couple of seconds ago. That's the... oh, man, shades of Patrick Stefan. The easiest empty netter. Oh, the easiest empty netter. And then here's Jack Eichel with the flip. Oh, it's such a smart play. So J.C. Tremblay, who was a defenseman for the Montreal Canadiens in the NHL and then Quebec Nordiques in the WHA. Do you have a picture of J.C. Tremblay? This was a what I'm talking about here is what J.C. Tremblay used to do on the regular. This guy had incredible hands. Like, he was a defenseman in that era who had the hands of a forward. And Red Fisher said outside of Bobby Orr, he had the best set of hands in the offensive zone of anybody in the NHL. I agree with Red Fisher on this one. His hands were incredible. What JC used to do is just what you saw Jack Eichel do. He says it added about 25 goals to his career. Just from flipping pucks at netminders and just have them, and just have the puck bounce in front of a goalie because no one knows where it is. And there's a chance that this thing may come in. Now, I want to make your weekend. Zach, I want to make your weekend. I want to make everyone's weekend in the chat. I want to make everybody's weekend who's watching live on YouTube or listening to us on your favorite podcast platform. Here's how I want to make your weekend. My favorite thing about J.C. Tremblay. Now, you're not supposed to do this, but he did. And it was awesome. J.C. Tremblay gave himself his own nickname. Now, you're not supposed to give yourself your own nickname, but he gave himself his own nickname. You know the nickname that J.C. Tremblay gave himself?
No, but hopefully it's good because he gave it to himself.
Yeah. Yeah, he gave himself his own nickname. And his nickname was J.C. Superstar. True story.
Oh, God.
I'm telling you, Zach, just stay alive and you'll see some crazy stuff. And you'll hear some crazy stuff. And today, you head into the weekend knowing that J.C. Tremblay gave himself his own nickname, J.C. Superstar. And he is the man responsible for the idea of flipping pucks in front of netminders. And as I said, he feels it added 25 goals to his career. All right, time for the blueprint right now. What's coming up on the program? The blueprint is powered by FanDuel. Make every moment more with North America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel. And coming up on the program today, it's kind of like Reporters Day. We might end up doing a lot more of these if they really work out on Fridays, just like shotgun style, like a bunch of reporters and insiders, one after the other. We'll talk to Gary Lawless, insider for the Vegas Golden Knights. We'll talk about Mitch Marner there. We'll talk to Jeff Patterson about the Vancouver Canucks. Good opener, great opener by Philip Hedl yesterday. Thatcher Demko was excellent. Steph Rosner from the Hockey News and the excellent El Monsters newsletter will stop by. We'll talk about, even though it was a loss, Matthew Schaefer's debut with the Islanders yesterday. In the meantime, do you have a favorite so far, two days in, or a surprise? Maybe it's the Pittsburgh Penguins 2-0. Maybe it's how competitive, albeit in a couple of losses, the Chicago Blackhawks have been early on, or maybe it's just the woes of the Buffalo Sabres getting booed in their home opener and dropping a tough one to the New York Rangers, and Josh Norris gets injured. Again, well, as someone pointed out on Twitter today, I should have grabbed it for you. I'm not gonna make fun of the guy. Injuries, nothing to make fun of. As someone pointed out, Josh Norris has played 4 games for the Buffalo Sabres and only finished 2.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. Yikes. Non-contact yesterday, too, was tough. It's a face-off, goes down, you could tell, just immediate pain. But if we're talking surprises, the one for me right now, or some of the most entertaining, has been the Bruins. The Bruins 2-0 here to start the season. They may never lose again.
As we all predicted.
Right. As we all predicted.
Can't go 82-0 if you don't go 2-0.
Good, competitive, kind of fun, young guys. I texted you last night after I saw Fraser Minton score. I'm not ashamed to admit it, and I just said, Fraser Minton OT goal, of course.
Yeah.
The Leafs are cursed. This is the way it is. Time for me to give up cheering on teams. I'm just going to cheer for hockey. But
are you going to come over to my side of things, be the teamless fan, just cheer for players and good games? You going to come on, snuggle up next to your boy Jeffy here on this one?
I think as hard as I tried, I would always still be a fan of the Leafs, so it wouldn't matter. But no, the Bruins have been fun to watch. Not just surprising, 2-0 and they won and whatever. Like anybody can start 2-0. It's been fun to watch them. You turn on any game, you check out the highlights, whatever it is. It's entertaining.
Yeah. It has been. 14 games on the go around the NHL last night. Tonight, exactly 0 games. I don't want to grouse about it because it would just feel like I'm sort of, nitpicking something to grumble about. But in your opening week, I know it's all based on building availability, and it's a very, very sensitive calculus that Steve Hatzapetros and his team. I'm assuming he has a team behind this, because if Steve does this all himself, holy smokes, what an undertaking that is, putting together the NHL schedule for 32 teams. I know it's all based on arena availability, and when teams want to play and when they don't want to play, and competition from either Major League Baseball, you want to program around it, football, college football. I remember talking to Doug McLean about his scheduling and what he would request and what he wanted to stay away from. And college football was obviously a big one, but he also said, what Canadians can't wrap their minds around is we don't want to compete against high school football. That you want to stay away from high school football as much as you can, because there are so many people that go, that it puts a dent into their attendance. Gary Lawless, we're going to get to here in a couple of moments when he chimes in. Also, as I mentioned, we will be talking to Steph Rosner from the Elmonters and Jeff Patterson on a really interesting game by the Vancouver Canucks. Just to sort of get into Vancouver here for a couple of seconds before we bring Gary aboard. Zach, just let me know when Gary's chimed in. All the questions about Filip Chytil through the preseason answered. Look great. Game one looked great again. Now, a pair of goals yesterday. The first one, the puck hits Kevin Ball in the head. You can understand the irony of Filip Chytil scoring a goal off someone else's head, not his own, considering his history of concussions. But he looked great. Thatcher Demko looked fantastic. Quinn Hughes had the one turnover. But whatever, when you play high-risk hockey like Quinn Hughes does, that's going to happen sometimes. He looked great. As a lot of people mentioned on social media last night, was it the best of all possible games for Evander Kane? I don't necessarily worry about veterans early in a season, so I'm going to reserve judgment on Evander Kane at this point. Jonathan Lekkerimäki scores. So early on, and again, it's a game you have to have because Calgary's on the second half of a back-to-back. You have to have it, but all you can do is play the games that are presented to you. And that was a game that Vancouver had to win, and a game that they did win. So a good start for the Vancouver Canucks. The weekend should be full of hockey action, as it is every Saturday. Essentially, the league is a Thursday, Saturday, Tuesday league for the maximum amount of games. Everybody in sports wants to stay away from Mondays. Hockey is no exception. People generally stay away from Sundays. And basically they run a ton of games on Thursdays, as we know, and they run a ton of games on Saturday all day long. It's fantastic. We're all glad that hockey is back. And we'll see plenty more of it coming up this weekend, but give us something on the Friday. Give us something today, right? Again, the poll question. What are the biggest surprises through the first few days of the NHL regular season? My pleasant surprise has been 2 flipped pucks towards goaltenders that resulted in goals, shades of J.C. Tremblay. I wonder how Vegas insider Gary Lawless will answer this question. Gary joins me now from, as one person just who's listening and what may be watching the show right now, just texted me, Gary Lawless, Peterborough Mafia. Gary Lawless, Peterborough Mafia.
I was delivered just on Wednesday night. Pete Dalladay, the great and longtime voice of the Pete's, son of the great Gary Dalladay.
Great family.
The voice of the Pete's when I was growing up. I should mention Tim and Krista, their other kids, good people. He delivered a hoodie to me on Wednesday. So this guy Jay Rowan from Peterborough, he owns Sandbagger. It's a hard cocktail that you can drink in Canada, and he just expanded to the U.S. and into Vegas. And he did a Sandbagger Open in Las Vegas this week, and they got a plane from Peterborough. It flew from the little airport in Peterborough. They didn't have to drive into Toronto. They chartered a plane, Peterborough to Vegas. Yeah, they stayed at one of the hotels on the Strip. They played a bunch of golf. But anyways, they got tickets to the game, and at the last minute, Pete decided to come. He didn't have tickets, so I gave him my tickets. He delivered a fantastic TPT Pete's before they were. TPT was the trucking company that originally owned them.
That was the sponsor.
Yes, and they weren't maroon; they were black and a bit of a goldy color. Yeah. He delivered me a hoodie on Wednesday night.
That's awesome. That's when they would have been a development team for the Montreal Canadiens, which was one of the origin stories of the Peterborough Petes, or the TPTs, as you mentioned.
Yes, and Scotty Bowman was one of their first coaches there, and went to the Memorial Cup. They lost. Pat Casey was one of the players. We could go on and on forever and ever. But
I think there was. And now, correct me if this is better for a question for Scotty. I believe. And I think this did happen in Peterborough. The Plager brothers both fought each other under the stands. Have you ever heard that story? It's a Scotty question. Yeah.
Yes, it is for sure. So I knew Barkley a little bit better than Bill, but I grew up kind of hanging around Kawartha, Golf and
Yeah.
Country Club. I was worked in the back shop there, and on certain days, Mickey and Dickie Redmond and their dad Ed Redmond would
That's
show
great.
up to play. Other days, the Plaguers would be around, and of course, they had this great amateur tournament every August, the Civic holiday. I don't know what they call it now, but Pete Mahovlich had an old restored Bentley, and Pete would roll in this open air Bentley and play the tournament. And he was a good
No
player, not
way.
good enough to win that tournament, but that's enough Peterborough history for you.
Well, let me throw one more, and I've always been trying to find out what the
Okay.
stories are, but so many people are no longer with us. The New York Islanders had their first ever training camp there in Peterborough. This would be 1972. I think there were like 75 players that they brought out, and some people's, let's just say, how do we say this delicately? Significant others had to be asked to leave for extracurricular reasons from this wild training camp with the New York Islanders.
Yeah.
But I digress from Peterborough stories.
Well, just before you go, like that's the Toronto Maple Leafs had camp in Peterborough. They would play.
Yeah.
They practiced at the Memorial Center and stay at the old Empress Hotel, and that is the setting for Scott Young's great book, "Boy at the Leafs Camp," which is the first one is Scrubs on Skates, then it's Boy
Yeah.
on Defense. That's Bill Spunska gets introduced to the readers, and then Boy at the Leafs Camp is when Bill Spunska makes the Leafs, and then the last one in the series is That Old Gang of Mine, which he wrote about. Scott wrote about them. They were in their 40s, and for some reason, Team Canada needed to cobble together a team at the last minute to
Yeah.
play in Europe. And it's they're divorced, they're smoking, they're drinking too much, and if you read the first ones, like these, your heroes are shattered. It's Clay Feet and all that. It was really good. Yeah.
Scott Young, of course, the father of Neil Young, and if we're going to go story for story with the Young family, Johnny Bauer recorded a Christmas song called "Honky the Christmas Goose," which is legendary, and they used a bunch of studio musicians from Yorkville at the time, where Neil Young was hanging out. And if you look at the original credits for "Honky the Christmas Goose" and the musicians, there is listed an N. Young. I've never got it confirmed. I don't even know how to get it confirmed. But I'm wondering if Neil Young was actually the guitarist on Johnny Bauer's "Honky the Christmas Goose." These are the things, Gary. I'm gonna be blunt with you. These are the things that kept me single for a lot of years. I'm just gonna be honest. Like stuff like this, like being fascinated with "Honky the Christmas Goose," kept me single for a number of years,
There's
my friend.
Is there an R. James on the because famously Neil Young and Rick James were hanging out in Yorkville together and then drove to the West Coast in a hearse together.
In a hearse, I hadn't heard that one. Oh, that's
In a
good.
hearse. Yeah, no, yeah. Have you not read Neil and Me?
I have not. No, I have not.
Oh, you got it. Yeah,
I
that's
got it. Okay.
one of Scott's great book about him and his son and
Oh, that's
their
awesome.
their fractured at times fractured relationship. Really good stuff.
Okay, so let me draw another one here. So Neil Young, noted San Jose Sharks fan. Last night, San Jose Sharks facing off against the Vegas Golden Knights, and Jack Eichel made my day. And this is a tribute to J.C. Tremblay, the flip puck in front of Alex Nedeljkovic. And I was given a little sort of history lesson about J.C. Tremblay before you came on and how he popularized that move to some extent. He said that it added 25 goals to his career, doing that very thing that we saw Eichel do. Before we drill down on the Vegas Golden Knights here, I'm surprised that more players bluntly don't do that because it's a hot potato. No one knows where the puck is going. To me, it's just a smart thing to do. I guess coaches want the puck in quote unquote safe areas, but to me, it's a high percentage play because no one knows where that thing's going. And we saw Connor Zary do it on the Blake Coleman goal the night before.
Yeah, and actually, the Sharks did it a couple times to Akira Schmid after the Nedeljkovic goal went in, and Schmid, the first one, he did not handle it. It wasn't an easy handle for him. He did make the stop, but I don't know why they don't do it more often. Probably because I want to make better plays. It also well, and also it confuses the forecheck, right? When you can't see the puck, when the
Yeah.
puck is up in the air, when can you cross the blue line, et cetera, et cetera. It becomes a little bit of a, if someone's trying to get in heavy on the forecheck, it's a difficult. It slows you down, right?
Mm.
So, and Jack Eichel is. Uber talented. He can do lots of things other than flip the puck. We see more of it of defensemen flipping the puck out of the defensive zone, which has become quite fashionable in the last
Jim
few
Dory.
years.
Jim Dory, whose nickname was literally Flipper. Old Maple Leafs
Yeah.
defenseman from the early 70s there, as we continue with our historical series here. Yours truly, Jeff Merrick, alongside the historian Gary Lawless, also an occasional Vegas Golden Knights insider, but mainly a hockey historian from the Peterborough area. I look at the Vegas Golden Knights and I say to myself, that top line with Barbashev, Eichel, and Marner has all the potential in it to be the best line in the NHL, period. What do you say to that?
Well, how long are McDavid and Draisaitl going to play together this year? Like that's a pretty. Listen, I think Jack and Mitch and Ivan are going to be dynamite. And best line in which sense? Are they going to be the best offensive line, or are they going to be
No, all
really
around.
hard to play against?
You
Well,
have two
okay,
Selke
then
you have two Selke Trophy
yeah,
candidates, guys that can score 100
yep,
points, guys that could win a Hart
yeah.
Trophy. And to the point about McDavid and McDavid and Draisaitl, I wonder now with the addition of Jack Roslovic whether they're trying to construct a third line, like a solid third line with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, which would necessitate separating Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl to go strength down the middle. That's so. I don't know that. I know it's always for Knobloch and for every other coach that's been there. It's the in case of emergency break glass moment. Like, okay, we need a goal. It's like Quenneville would put Kane and Taves together. It's like, okay, we need instant offense. You put Leon and Connor together. But I think like long term, probably better off to separate the two. That's why I look at that
Well,
Eichel line and say that like as a proper line that you're not gonna, outside of barring injuries, obviously you're not gonna mess with. They could be the best in the NHL, both ends of the rink.
yeah. So I won't quibble with that. And it's the what McCrimmon has done is he's put together four really good lines so that Bruce Cassidy does, like, it's not like they are loaded up on one line when they have Marner and Eichel together, because if you're paying attention, Dorofeev has 4 goals already.
Yeah.
He's on the second line with Hurdle and Sod, and the line of Carlson, Smith, and Stone. They have been dominant for stretches. They get the puck in the offensive zone, really hard to get it away from them. And then just when you think you've broken out and you're going up ice and you're going to start to have some fun, Stone will reach in and steal the puck, or Carlson will track you down and take the puck from you, and all of a sudden they're going the other way again. And the Sissons, like Brett Howden scored on the fourth line last night. He had 23 last year.
Mm-hmm.
He's already got one. He's with Sissons and Kolasar, and they look really good as well. So, I think it's the best. I think it's the best line that doesn't sacrifice anywhere else in your lineup, and because that's how you lose in the playoffs. It's not your good guys kind of getting ground down. It's what you don't have. You can't
Yeah.
play your third line, or you can't play your fourth line, or your last pairing, and then all of a sudden, in a 7-game series, the other team is able to take advantage of it, and you're looking for your golf clubs. So the depth and the balance is key.
Last one for you, because we gush so much about Peterborough, but it's one of my favorite topics. As I'm off to quote, Peterborough is a hockey word. Peterborough is a hockey word. Let me ask you one more question though about the Vegas Golden Knights. We know that this is an organization that does not sit on its hands. This is an organization that, unlike other organizations, understands that in a salary cap universe. I was mentioning this yesterday to Colby Cohen. In a salary cap universe, if you have a chance to improve your team even the slightest, you have to do it. You are obliged in a salary cap. Even if it's a tiny little percent, you have to do it. And Vegas understands that better than most teams in the NHL. You're Kelly McCrimmon. What area are you looking at right now? I know it's so early. I get it. But is there an area that if you're Kelly McCrimmon, you're saying, you know what, I have my eyes on this area?
Well, it would have to be the blue line, and I think he's going to give them time to, if he has any worries, he'll give them time to alleviate it. But Alex Pietrangelo isn't playing this year, and that's 22, 23 minutes a night of the hardest minutes against the opposition's best players. Huge in the dressing room, huge on the bench. Like, things are going bad, and Petro is like, everybody just relax. We're good. Let's get back to what we know how to play, and we'll be fine. There's just so much going to be missed with him, and then on the ice, great in his own zone, physical, and then can skate the puck, can shoot it. Just did so much for this team. I would have to think that if they run into any trouble, it would be there, and Kelly will do something about it if he thinks he needs to.
Thanks for the trip down memory lane. Thanks for sharing your expertise on the Vegas Golden Knights, and more Peterborough stories, please. Always interested in the Town stories. Thanks, Pal. Gary Lawless, Vegas Golden Knights insider. You can watch him on the intermissions in your Vegas Golden Knights game, and you can listen to him on radio as well. Before we get to Jeff Patterson, this segment is a presentation of Prime Video and Monday Night Hockey, your exclusive home to the NHL, streaming games nationally in Canada every Monday. Prime Monday Night Hockey opens next week, October 13th, with a big doubleheader. It is Detroit in Toronto, followed by St. Louis in Vancouver. More on them in a moment. Also on Prime Video, Face-Off Inside the NHL Season 2. Subscribe with a 30-day free trial to Prime Video to watch Monday Night Hockey and the new season of Face-Off. Download the app or go to primevideo.com. With that, we bring aboard our good friend Jeff Patterson, who I would imagine, like many Vancouverites right now, enjoying what must be the sun shining brighter, the beer a little bit colder, everybody's smiling, the teeth are a little shinier after a pretty convincing win by the Vancouver Canucks last night. A little bit of rust on someone like Evander Kane, but player to player, Jeff, that was as much as a game they had to win. Calgary's on the back-to-back. You can only win the games they present you with, and Vancouver looked really good last night.
Yeah, but you lost me at the sunshine in Vancouver. It's October, and we're digging in for a few months here. But look, I feel whole this morning. I was at the rink to watch regular season hockey again. It was a great thing, and the Canucks do a nice job with all the pageantry of opening nights and ceremonies, and then the team backed it up. But as you said, the Flames had played the night before. We know the story there. They looked a little more battle-tested, even if it was just their second game of the season. I think the Canucks kind of had to dip their toe into the water, and that's where you see the value of Thatcher Demko, who only faced 18 shots, but sometimes it's the situational saves you get. And in a scoreless game and at 1-0, Demko was sensational. And I've said this from the first time I laid eyes on him out at UBC and summer skates, and I get that that's all they were, but just to see him back on the ice, happy, healthy, looking free in his motions, he has looked sensational through training camp, through the preseason, and then looked like he was going to pitch a shutout before the late Morgan Frost goal last night. Yeah. But this is a guy, Jeff, that made his season debut last year. His injury is well documented. Season debut on December 10th. His first win of last season, December 16th. He had 2 victories at Christmas time. I mean, he's halfway to that total after opening night. He has the ability to truly change the conversation, I think, about what's possible for the Vancouver Canucks if he gets back to his Vezina caliber. And he's not there yet, but boy, all signs are trending in a massive direction. It's just we're all going to keep an eye on him after every, is he going to be on the ice at practice today because of the health issues? He's got to come through every single game and be ready and available for the next one.
And he taught us a new word last year. Was it popliteus? We all got to know the popliteus. That's a new one in all of our vocabulary. I was on I do a weekly hit on Sekeres and Price, and I was like, look, I don't want to get sort of carried away about one performance, but watching Demko yesterday, and there's like this This is shades of Ian Clark from years past, like economy of movement around Thatcher Demko. I always maintain that Carey Price was the most athletic goaltender of his generation, not because he's making big, wild saves and rolling around the crease, but he got to position quickly and efficiently and move post to post quickly and efficiently. Like that to me is an athletic goaltender. How quickly can you get to position to make a save look boring? It's hard to make saves look boring. It's the NHL, and again, I know it wasn't the heaviest workload. He didn't face 40 shots last night, but part of me is looking at this and going like, all the same reasons that we all looked at Carey Price and said, that's a great goaltender, I saw at least last night in Thatcher Demko.
Well, I always laugh when I hear people say, he looks big in the net. Well, Thatcher Demko's 6'4", wearing all that equipment. Of course he does, but like I understand that saying because we also see big guys that don't fill all the holes in the net. And teams that have goaltending, they know it, and the teams that don't, they know it too. And boy, the Vancouver Canucks feel good about what they've got as a 1-2 punch. And workload is going to be a massive issue here. And I'm curious, like if I'm making the call. Coming off last night, I come right back with Thatcher in Edmonton against the Oilers on Saturday night, and then go to Kevin Lankinen against St. Louis on Monday, and then you sort of set the ball rolling because the next games after that are a pair of back-to-backs to start a road trip, and they'll split those, and then 5 games in, Demko would have 3 starts, Lankinen would have 2, and I think you're kind of pushing the rock down the road in that sort of pattern. That if in a perfect world, if Thatcher can stay healthy, he's probably getting 60% of the starts, and they go a 60-40 sort of split here because really it's not what Thatcher Demko does on October the 9th, as good as he looked. They need him down the stretch, and then ultimately this is a guy who's going to turn 30 in December. He has 4 playoff starts on his resume, which is wild. 3 of them in the bubble, and then the 1 game against Nashville before he left that series 2 years ago. So he knows it. He's talked about it. He burns to play playoff hockey, and he burns to change this narrative that he is injury prone. He knows that injuries are a part of his story, but he doesn't want that to be the focus. He wants to get it back to where we're all raving about his on-ice performance. And so through 1 game at the very least, so far so good.
It's we looked at the preseason, and everybody that we had questions about, like pretty much to a player, they jumped over those hurdles, right? Whether it was Hedl, whether it was Mancini, whether it was Elias Pettersson, whether it was Jonathan Lekkerimäki, Braden Coots, like everybody looked good. And in preseason, you always have to wonder, okay, what's a mirage? And I don't know if we can really judge what was a mirage from the preseason, but I look at, Lekkerimäki in that goal last night, like, man, that guy can shoot flat out. It's the hardest thing to do in the NHL, score goals. He can do it. Philip Hedl looked fantastic. Was the first one a gimme? The puck hits Kevin Ball's head, and it's a tap in. You got to play to the whistle. But based on what you saw in preseason, and again, it's only 1 game, and then what you saw last night against the Calgary Flames, does it look like any of what we saw in the preseason was a mirage? Or you can take the trap door. Hey, it's still too early, Merrick.
Well, it is too early, but look, Philip Hedl scored twice for the Canucks after the trade, and then they shut him down on March 15th. He had 2 goals last night, so nice start for him. And really, he should have had the hat trick. There was a puck in the blue paint there in the 3rd period that was just sitting, waiting, and somehow scored it out the other side. So his speed is undeniable. He's been reckless at times, and I think put himself in some bad spots. And I know that the Canucks have worked hard with him, done a bunch of video work here, trying to figure out ways that he can just put himself in better situations and avoid harm's way. Running headlong into big, strong defenders in the National Hockey League when you have a history of concussions, that's not playing particularly smart. So you're right. First goal was a bounce. The second one, though, head up all the way, pulls away from the defenders, a couple of nifty stick handles, and then picked his spot and scored. And at that point, 3-0, and the Canucks were off to the races. So really nice start for Hedl. Archie Bains, the story's well documented. Local boy, makes good, makes the NHL, but in 21 prior NHL games, he had 1 point, and he starts the season in the top 6 role. And
Great pass last night.
It really was. In fact, in real time, I saw the 3 on the jersey, and I just figured it was Quinn dishing. And I was like, wait a sec, no, that was 13, not 43. But there are a lot of people out here. It's quite a talking point of, should he be in a top 6 role here? Skates well, thinks the game well, has figured it out at every other level. He led the Western Hockey League in scoring one year. It's been a high scorer down in Abbotsford, but in his limited time, usually lower in the lineup, in the NHL, had just the one goal against the Penguins last year. Otherwise, didn't have a point. That was his first assist in the NHL, so a bit of a keeper for him.
Yeah.
But, can he hold his own? And that's going to be the mantra here for a young guy like Braden Coots has been earn another day. I think that applies to Arshdeep Bains. He's probably earned another spot opportunity to stay on that line with Hedl and Connor Garland. They were really good last night, but it was the Flames. It was the back half of back-to-backs. In that third period, Canucks took advantage of a tired team, and you had to do that. They'll be the tired team some nights, but there will be stiffer competition ahead starting on Saturday going into Edmonton. Oilers will be a little grumpy after what happened to them. So, let's see how it goes. And just speaking of Coots, a Sherwood Park boy going back to Edmonton. He played there in the preseason, but now you're playing for keeps. But one thing to be able to protect him on home ice, it's a little different when the Oilers can throw McDavid and Draisaitl or the two of them out and gang up on the kid. So I'm really curious to see how the Canucks go about spotting Braden Coots in his first road game in the National Hockey League.
Okay, I want to be grumpy media here for 1 second. The power play stunk. The Vancouver power. Yeah, it was a win, but the power play stunk. I know never criticize a win is the old saying around the NHL, but the power play, Jeff, the power play.
I liked Grumpy Media guy. Usually I'm the one being accused of that, but I'll play along. Power play didn't look very good. Quinn Hughes, look, they score 5 goals and Quinn doesn't figure in the scoring. I had to look it up. They got to 5 goals 12 times last year. He had a point in every single one of those games. So that's how rare a 5-goal performance from the Canucks without a point from the captain. And so he's going to have to wait to make Canuck history because his first point of the season, will move him past Alex Edler and he'll become the highest scoring defenseman in franchise history. It's not the highest bar in the world. The amazing thing there is that it's happened in 500 fewer games than Edler played as a Canuck, which just tells you the greatness of Quinn Hughes. He'll get his point. I don't think anybody here is worried. But Evander Kane on the first unit power play when Jonathan Lekkerimäki is dealing right now. I think people want to see the young guy get an opportunity there. Kane didn't really help himself. There were a couple of careless passes last night. We're all still trying to figure out what his role ultimately is going to be on the power play. It looked all right in the preseason, but last night, again, I think they can sort of overlook it. They know they're going to need it. There'll be games where it has to win them, hockey games, but they get by last night. And really, it was funny because in my timeline on social, I saw Flames fans freaking out about their power play and the fact that Zane Parekh is sitting in the press box for the first 2 nights of the season, and they generated, I think they had 3 shots on goal in 8 minutes of power play time in a tight hockey game. It was a tight hockey game for a while there. So, I've been putting it on the to-do list. It's early. I don't think anybody's worrying about it, but if it's not Evander Kane, is it going to be Connor Garland? Will it be Jonathan Lekkerimäki? So I do think the dust has to settle there before the Canucks really figure out what they're doing with their top unit on the power play.
First week of the season, we've seen a couple of rookie coaches get their first wins. Dan Muse with the Pittsburgh Penguins, Marco Sturm with the Boston Bruins, and now you can throw Adam Foote into that mix as well. Hasn't been very long with the head coaching title, but is there anything that you've learned or gleaned or think that fans should know or understand about how Adam Foote is going to run this operation?
I think we're all still in find out mode ourselves. This is a guy with such limited experience as a head coach. I mean, you got to go back to a season in the Western Hockey League 5 years ago, and that didn't go so well for him. I think certainly, and I don't think I was alone, thought that he was just going to go with Rick Tocchet to Philadelphia, and those two would continue on their way. Canucks convinced him to be the guy and take a chance here to be a head coach in the National Hockey League. He's been terrific to deal with in the early going. Again, hasn't lost a game that means anything. So we'll see, you say grumpy media. We'll see about grumpy coach after, there's going to be some losses. He's not going to win them all. I think he knows that. He's been around the game long enough. So let's see when that sun that you were talking about isn't shining here in Vancouver. But so far, so good for him. It's funny. He's cut from the same cloth as Rick Tocchet. You can understand why Rick Tocchet wanted to bring him along as an assistant, but now he sort of has to set out and be his own guy, and he's formed his own staff here. And I think he wants to be a little more aggressive in parts of the ice than Rick Tocchet was. Certainly wants to get the defense involved more in the rush. They scored 5 last night, and no defenseman had a point. So, for night one, maybe they didn't get the defenseman involved, but they still won the game going away. I think it'll take a little while here before we could truly identify trends. It's all sort of talk at this point. But again, it's funny. I'm sure you've seen the vibes out here are good. And they are different. And to a man, the Canucks, from the first day of their team golf tournament that kind of signified the start of training camp, they made it clear. They're hell-bent on putting last year behind them, turning the page, and not allowing the dysfunction that really did them in last year to seep into this season and stay with them moving forward. And I would say they've done a pretty good job of that. Winning will help, obviously. But they want to prove that last year was last year and that they are a better team ultimately. And that they're better prepared in the event that, the inevitable adversity hits them. And last year they didn't deal with it very well. They want to do a better job of that this time around.
A lot of expectations. Will close on this. I got about a hot 60 left. Elias Pettersson. First of all, the hit yesterday, the Uyghur hit. I mean, it looks to me like Pettersson is trying to initiate that Peter Forsberg bump back hit that we've all, associate the great Swedish power forward with. Any problems with that hit? And secondly, how do you, one assist, how do you evaluate EP40 from last night?
Yeah, no problems with the hit. It was, that awkward couple of feet from the boards and the collision and the way he went in. Didn't love that part, but he himself said, hey, contact game. I dropped the puck off. Probably should have put myself in a better spot. So, I'm just happy that he returned to the game. And then obviously the Elias Pettersson hit on Connor Zary on the other side. Ooh. Again, just awkward the way he went into the boards. And, I like the way the officials handled both of those, though. Apply the major and then review. And they reduced both of those calls. And I think ultimately those probably were right. Look, as for Elias Pettersson, the forward, the jury's still out. He had a nice assist on the Brock Besser goal. It came late. It was garbage time, but he's opened his account, as you say, at least with an assist. He was on the score sheet. All 4 lines scored last night, but they need more, and he knows that. It was a sort of mediocre preseason. He looked like a veteran that was kind of pacing himself. He's been invested since day one of camp, but when you're getting paid close to $12 million, you better be invested. He understands all the noise around him, but really he couldn't prove a whole. If he led the NHL in scoring in the preseason, it wouldn't really matter. People would have said, "Okay, show me when the lights are bright." So, again, I'll give him a passing grade last night. I thought there were some decent defensive plays. He was the first guy out killing penalties in the absence of Teddy Bluger. It's not the sexiest part of the game, but somebody's got to do it. And if that's an area that he contributes, they need offense from him. He knows that. We know that. And we'll see if it comes. But I would give him a passing grade on the first night of the regular season. He's
one of those guys, I don't cheer for teams, I cheer for players. He's one of the guys that I really want to see bounce back and have a great season. And if he does, that answers a lot of questions for this year's edition of the Vancouver Canucks. Jeff, always a pleasure. Enjoy the Edmonton game. You're right, should be a big one for Coots and a big one for the Vancouver Canucks. Thanks for sharing expertise with us today. Much appreciated.
All right, Jeff, thanks.
There he is, Jeff Patterson, who joins us here on the program, breaking down the Vancouver Canucks. And really, again, all you can do is play the games they present you with. It was a back-to-back for the Calgary Flames, a little bit drained from the night before. But one quick thought on the Flames, and I know it's only 2 games, but Nazem Kadri is already playing like a guy that wants to play for the Stanley Cup this year. And is probably looking at this year's edition of the Calgary Flames and saying, you know what, this is probably going to be a rebuild. Probably going to let go of Rasmus Anderson at some point here. They're going to take that proverbial step back before they step forward. He's probably going to end up on another team if the offer is right. I wonder, again, like last year about the Dallas Stars with Nazem Kadri, it seems to fit what Jim Nill wants in his team. We shall see, but Kadri is making it very, very obvious that, and he always plays hard, but first couple of games, Kadri's out there every single shift, really battling hard See what happens. One of the stories will follow. Where does Nazem Kadri end up by trade deadline this year? In the meantime, all eyes on Matthew Schaefer last night, albeit in a losing cause. New York Islanders' first overall draft pick, recording an assist in his first NHL game. Here for comments from the Hockey News and the excellent El Monsters newsletter. Steph Rosner joins me on the program. Steph, first of all, how did you put on your evaluator hat, your scout hat? Well, actually, if you're a scout, you have to all be wearing black, so we'll give you a pass on the scout fit look today. Give us your thoughts on day one, Matthew Schaefer, NHL. This was a big moment for that man, young man and his family.
Yeah, one thing you notice about Schaefer, no game is too big for him. He treated that game as if it was a regular game. You talk to his dad, you talk to his brother, you talk to his teammates. They were all ecstatic. They were all nervous for him. He said, I'm just playing hockey. I don't care going up against Crosby, Malkin. Like, it's cool, but we're all playing a game of hockey. We're all trying to win. And I thought he played really well. Played a tad over 17 minutes. He gets the assist, but his skating and fans outside of the Islander fan base are going to see this. He's an unreal skater. It allows him to do so much in transition, escape the D zone, close gaps. I mean, he was exceptional. He earned minutes 6-on-5 late in the game when the Islanders were trying to score late in the third period there. But overall, it was a successful first game. He's just going to keep building on it. One thing we've learned is that this guy is a very, very fast learner. But yeah, he looked like a 10-year vet out there for sure.
Let me share something. I was mentioning this on the show either yesterday or the other day before. I got a note from a coach. I sort of did like a montage of the Schaefer back checks that we've all seen, one against Michkov and one against Matt Rempe, and it's like the guy's the road runner. I saw this plenty, in minor hockey in the area, and saw it plenty with the Erie Otters, and now everyone NHL fans are getting a look at what this guy can do. And I had one coach text me saying, "You know why he's back checking so hard? Because he's caught deep too much." What does Patrick Waugh do with this? I mean, it is such a calling card for Schaefer joining the rush, getting deep because he knows he can get back. But this is the NHL, man. Like, you're not playing against Oakville anymore. You're not playing against Sudbury in the OHL. You're playing against the Rangers and the Flyers and the Penguins. So Patrick Waugh commented on this at all?
He hasn't, but I think with him putting Scott Mayfield with Schaefer, that was a sign that, let Schaefer do his thing. You know he's going to jump in on the rush and do all those things. If he has a stable defensive defenseman behind him, that will eliminate the fast breaks. Now, we saw it in the Flyers game. A couple of goals went in, including the game winner where, Mayfield got caught and Schaefer was up on the rush. And that's something they have to work on and communicate, and that'll come over time. But that's the plan with Scott Mayfield being a mentor on and off the ice, having a defensive defenseman on there to stay back and let Schaefer do his thing. So we'll see how long that lasts. Again, first game, Schaefer looked really good. Mayfield struggled and they lost, not blaming it all on Mayfield, but there were mistakes made and goals went in the back of their net. But yeah, he hasn't commented too much. He wants Schaefer to feel comfortable playing his game. He doesn't really want him to change. He said, of course, he'll have to adjust. Things that he got away with in junior, he's not going to get away with at the NHL level. But yeah, I think the plan was have Mayfield there to pretty much allow Schaefer to play his game, and then he'll learn. He's a fast learner, but that's the plan right now.
I'm going to move off Schaefer here in a second. There's more to get to, but such a fascinating player and young man as well. What are Islanders fans doing with this phenomenon? How many Schaefer jerseys are we expecting just to see around the rings? Like, give me a sort of snapshot of what Schaefer mania is with the Islanders fans.
I'll give you a perfect thing. They're auctioning off his second period jerseys from last night. I think it's up to $14K.
What?
Already? Yeah, I think it's high. It's up there. I got to look back at it. From one of my friends was texting me saying, like, dude, it's so much money right now. So that tells you all you got to know about
14? Game one?
It's ridiculous. But yeah, the biggest thing for Schaefer is that any fan he meets, doesn't matter the age, but mostly kids, he goes down on one knee with them. He talks with them he has to actually be stopped because he's taking too long. He cares. And I think young fans, especially in a fan base where last handful of years, they've been competitive, but not good enough. And this is a new age, a new era. Those are the kind of fans you want to get in the door. And Schaefer is the perfect person to kind of market that. So he's been incredible. The fan base loves him. I think he's going to struggle. The fan base knows that. I don't think they're going to get on him like they got on maybe another defenseman they just traded away early on in his career. But, yeah, he's beloved. And the way the Islanders have just treated him from start with, the cancer ribbon on his jersey, the initials on the jersey, and the way the fan base, every time they see him, just show him the love. I think it's a match made in heaven. And we're going to see it's going to be tomorrow night against the Capitals for a home opener. The momentum that he's going to get from just the fan base roaring when they announce his name.
Yeah, for sure. Like, he's an instantly lovable guy. I guess a lot of this is, informing this next question. A lot of it, I guess, is going to depend on wins and losses and how he's playing. Like, how far do you think the organization is looking at Matthew Schaefer? Are they doing it in sort of increments of 5 games, of 10 games, see where he's at, what the decision's going to be for his development? And I'm trying to figure out a clever way here with you, Steph, to ask if they'll make him available for the World Juniors.
Yeah, it's a great question. I'd be shocked if he was made available for the World Juniors because I think if the Islanders want to do anything this year, Schaefer's going to play a huge part of it. You've already seen their transition game last night. I've never seen the Islanders play a faster brand hockey, and it's a collective effort for sure. But I think Schaefer kind of sets that. The way he plays, the way he skates and moves the puck, and I think it is they all take it day by day. That's how you talk about it. But we spoke to his dad last night. And his dad was so proud of the way that Matthew Darch and Patrick Roy have gone about how they're going to develop him. Like, they didn't get too much into specifics on, is he going to play every day? You know, what are the minutes going to be? But if the Islanders want to win hockey games and Schaefer proves able to handle it, he's going to get more minutes. And the more minutes he's going to get, the bigger his role is going to be. So right now he's starting on your bottom pairing defense, but I wouldn't be shocked come halfway through the season if he's potentially on the top pairing or middle pairing or top power play, because if they want to win games, he's showing to be an absolute game changer for them.
Yeah, he's a special player and a special kid. Certainly, anyone that's come across his acquaintance all sings from the same hymn book. What do you think of Matthew Barzal as the center? Again.
Yeah, I think this is a kind of obviously Brock Nelson not being back, right? That's you know, Patrick Roy could talk about how they played in the Eastern Conference final runs and Barzal being a center. Barzal's back at center because they didn't get a 2C. Now I think, and we've talked about Callum Ritchie. You think we both agree that going to Bridgeport, playing
20 games. 20 games
is the way to go. And I think once Ritchie proves ready, he's hurt right now. We'll get an update probably tomorrow, see where he's at. He's skating on his own. But once he's ready, I think Barzal goes back to the wing. However, I do think Barzal, you saw the assist he had on Palmieri's goal yesterday, which was, he looked great transitioning up the middle of the ice and the things they did. I think you learned, talking with him and a couple of players, how much he's learned from Bo Horvat about the 200-foot game, the little things he picked up. His biggest mark has been his struggles in the faceoff dot and he won 7 of 10 yesterday. One game, but 70% is pretty good to start your season. So yeah, I think he's good there. I think he's comfortable there, even though he hasn't played there in a couple of years. But I do think it's a stopgap. Once Ritchie's ready and proves to be a 2C, I think Barzal goes back to Horvat's wing because I think, he had one of his best years on the wing. So I think that's where he's ultimately going to end up. But for right now, he's not a bad stopgap.
Yeah, I'm again, he hasn't played an NHL game yet, but I'm still shocked. I wonder if you are. That, and I know you gotta pay if you're gonna get someone like Brock Nelson. I'm still stunned that the Islanders were able to get Cal Ritchie.
Yeah,
I think Cal Ritchie in that deal. How good this kid is.
We've talked about it, and I feel like Lou was talking about it. Other people were talking about how he was untouchable, or quote unquote untouchable from a lot of other teams out there. Yeah. And the Islanders found a way, and you gotta give to get. I didn't get to watch Ritchie obviously too much in juniors, but seeing him at rookie camp and training camp, the IQ. Yes, he's a big body, he's physically mature. His hockey sense is off the charts.
Yeah.
Defensively, like where he's, especially in the D zone, I think that's the biggest thing, especially for coaches and building trust is, well, what can you do away from the puck? Well, what can you do in the defensive zone? And every time, you see him look over his shoulder in the D zone, you see him back check, you see him do all the right things where if he gets an NHL chance, I don't think it'll take too long to be a number 2C because he's going to earn those minutes defensively, and then we know his offensive game is going to be a good one. So he looks like a guy that is a sure top prospect, but he's a future number 2C, I think, for this team for a very long time.
Okay, let me close with this one, Steph. You're right there. You thumb on the pulse, all of it, like you blanket coverage with the Islanders. So here becomes my question. Yeah. What would you consider, or maybe a better phrase this way, what would the Islanders organization consider a successful season? And maybe what would you consider a successful season for this team?
Yeah, I think it's making the playoffs. I know that's kind of, people don't want to say just make the playoffs and get in and see what happens, but that's what Darch said during his introductory press conference. You never know. He looked back at last year's team and said, this should have been a playoff team. And yeah, it would have been a playoff team if their power play or penalty kill was 10% better and they had a ton of injuries. But Darch believes that he improved this roster, and I think making the playoffs is a huge goal. I think, forget for the veterans here that want to make the playoffs after missing last year. The young guys that you have, whether it's Schaefer, whether it's Ritchie, whether it's another year of Holmstrom, Siplikov, Shapanov, making the playoffs is so important for their development and getting a taste of what that's like and getting a taste of, maybe falling short in the playoffs. So I think they would call that a successful season, but also if they don't make the playoffs, it's seeing the development from guys. And I'm not just talking about guys at the NHL level. We've talked about Bridgeport so many times and how that has to be a spot where college players and prospects feel comfortable developing. So I think a successful year if they don't make the playoffs is Richie takes a step. Schaefer takes a step. The guys in Bridgeport that struggled last year take strides. And the guys that are coming to Bridgeport are getting put in an environment where, hey, Bridgeport made the playoffs, or Bridgeport was a hard team to play against. Rocky, 2 guys, 3 guys took strides. Like that would be a win for me, is that your guys that you wanted to develop, because it's all about the future with this team. I really do believe that.
Because that didn't happen at all. Like, you can make the argument guys took steps back in Bridgeport. Like, it was like by the end, like who wanted to play there? No one.
100%.
No one.
100%. Yeah, that was it sucks, and that's not the attitude you want your prospects having, but you're not just losing games when you go to the rink every day. You're getting killed. And that's a terrible mindset, especially for an organization where now you have a prospect pool to be proud of. You can't mess these guys up. Like, these are your future. And if you don't hit on these guys, and we'll see about, Eklund and Aitchison, who are playing well, and Prokhorov, like, you need these guys to succeed. Iserman, Danny Nelson, you need those guys to come here and develop correctly, because there's been too many players, and maybe those players like Abellas or Wallstrom or Dalcole weren't ever going to be good enough to be NHLers, but you didn't really give them the best shot to prove that they are those guys. So you have to make sure you get it right this year.
It's a great point. We always talk about how important drafting is. Developing is just as important. Just as important a piece as the identification of a player. We've kept you for too long, Steph. Always a pleasure to catch up. Man, it's great to have you on the beat covering Matthew Schaefer, because it'll be covered properly. Thanks so much for stopping by as always, and we'll check back regular. Thanks, pal.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
There he is, the great Steph Rosner. You read him at NHL.com, Hockey News. You should subscribe to the El Monsters newsletter. It's fantastic. Man, this guy doesn't sleep. I swear, like he really is, Zach, one of the best, and one of the like when you look at Steph, you're like, okay, yeah, this guy's going to be in this industry for a long time and is going to be a major star. Major
Chat seemed
star.
to like him here today too.
He's great.
So that's nice.
Steph's
That's always good.
Yeah, Steph's great. All right. So the QOD, the question of the day, biggest surprises, brought to you by the Ninja Crispy. Have a look. Dun, 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 dun.
Didn't play.
There we go.
Meet the first of its kind. The Ninja Crispy Portable Cooking System. The power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand. So you can cook big or small batches. Just prep it, crisp it, serve it, and store it all in one.
Meet the first of its kind, the Ninja Crispy Portable Cooking System. Now you have the power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand. Prep it, snap it, crisp it, serve it, all in one container. This glass air fryer is PFSA free, thus no harmful chemicals while cooking. It includes a small 6-cup and larger 4-quart Tempware container. Whether you're whipping up quick single-serve meals in 7 minutes, sharing crispy snacks on the go, or serving a crowd, the Ninja Crispy makes it easy. Cleanup is simple. All accessories are dishwasher safe and designed to nest for easy storage. Check out the link in the episode description or go to sharkninja.ca. I'm off to London for a minor hockey tournament after the show here today. I could use the Ninja Crispy Portable Cooking System. Nonetheless, what is our QOD today?
Well, great city, great university there. Some would say the best university there.
No, wrong. No, that's down the 401 in Guelph. Sorry, no, wrong.
Okay.
No. Sorry, Purple. Sorry, Purple.
You went from one.
You can take your seeps
podcast.
and your soggy Maitland. You can take all of that crap. No thanks. Not interested. Day
You went
late,
from
dollar
one
short.
co-host who
Last
went there
call.
to
Time to go.
producer who went there. All right. Question of the day. I don't know if.
Yep.
Look, this is how you know it's a Friday and there's no NHL games.
Yeah.
It's very rare that you get this from our chat. I don't know that they understood the assignment here, but the question of the day, nonetheless. Okay. What are the biggest surprises through the first few days of the NHL regular season? So we gave ours. I put the question in the chat. Here are the answers. I'm just going to read them for you.
Let's go.
Jeffrey Wilder, do you think the Leafs are too big, making them look slow? That is one.
First of all, Montreal looked a lot faster than Toronto. Montreal, I know, Leafs win that one. Never critique a win, but Montreal should have won that game, and they did look significantly faster than the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think honestly, I think that's a great point. I really do. Montreal looked quick, and you saw what they did to Detroit last night. Ooh.
Yeah.
Geez.
Our friends at Flames Nation came in and just so willingly participated and said Oilers suck. Thanks to Flames Nation.
They got 3
participation.
How can you be proud of like those 3 goals that got you back into the game and got you in a position to beat the Edmonton? I mean, full value. I mean, a goal's a goal, I guess. But like, look at those things. One's off a skate. One's off a goalie mishandle on a dump in. The other's a baseball swing. Like 3 of the goofiest goals back to back to get back into that one. But listen, I know like, if you're a Flames fan right now, you're heading into a rebuild with this team. First of all, Morgan Frost looks great. Morgan Frost looks great with Calgary. But I get it. Like all the attentions on Edmonton they be the team to bring the cup back to Canada. All eyes on McDavid and the contract. I get that it's tough. I understand it, but Oilers are good. But good on the Flames for beating them in the opener. Good on them.
Yeah. We have conflicting responses here. One from Bill Beck. The other one, I lost it here. But the one was the surprise. The biggest surprise is how successful the third jersey releases have been. And then Bill Beck says, why does every surprise third jersey suck?
You can't win, right?
I don't know
it's just
to do with that one.
It's it's kind of like music. Like I can't say that a song is bad or an artist is bad. Someone likes them. I can't say a jersey is bad or a jersey is good. Like all it is just a reflection of your taste. That's it. Mm-hmm. But there's no like, and get all philosophical. There's no transcendental signifier or transcendental signified. So it's all a matter of your own tastes and what impresses you or what makes you tap your toes. I don't know. I like the Kings reveal. Again, I like that jersey. I'd still want it to be purple and gold. Too. I like how they did it. Yeah. I still love the purple and gold more. I still do. But, some people dig it. I mean, everybody seems to be like the rush to black for every NHL jersey. I like what the Rangers did. I like that. I like Rangers. I think that Ranger look is really good. Some people, plenty in the chat, I'm sure, it's like, oh, dude, it looks awful. No, it's like we're playing with the Crayola crayons here. Like, no, but I think it looks great. The only thing that is unassailable is the Minnesota Wild, Minnesota North Stars look is the best in the NHL. Fight me on that. That should be the full-time kit for the Minnesota Wild.
I really, 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 really liked the Red Wings ones last night, seeing them.
You did, yeah?
This is one of those ones where it's like the in theory versus in practice, where like you saw the pictures and they were okay, or like they were nice, but it was like, okay, how is that going to translate? I felt that way about the Rangers ones. When I saw the Rangers and the Red Wings wear theirs in-game action, when it was on TV, I was like, wow, they did it right. Like, that looks good. Just everything about the execution, the design, the colors, they popped. I thought those looked good. I loved the Red Wings ones last night, though. But, yeah, I agree with you with the Kings ones. The surprise, how they unveiled it was really cool.
That's great.
The jerseys, specifically, Jeff, jerseys looked really good.
Not sweaters? Are you no longer Canadian?
Okay, sweater, sure. I hated the helmets. just terrible. I hated the helmets.
I know.
I was so glad Irf also didn't like them. But yeah.
Well, I don't know many people are taking their fashion cues from either me, you, or Irf.
If it's any of the three of us, it would be Irf. I would give the hat tip
probably
to
Irf. Yeah, it's good. I'll take your fashion lead.
The other one here, which I guess maybe is maybe this was a YouTube error. This is why we got these coming in this way. But NY Boost says, are the Canes finally ready to shake the boring tag? So I guess we could kind of switch that around and say, I guess from the first couple of games of the season around the NHL and from what we've seen of the Canes so far,
hey,
are they
dude,
ready to shake the boring tag, Jeff?
Keandre Miller's going to win the Norris Trophy, right? How good
for 164 goals.
How good did Keandre Miller look last night? Give that man the Norris now. Voting shouldn't even begin. Just give him the trophy. He looked
Shut
great.
it
But
down.
but the thing is, like we've talked about this before. What is the one thing more than anything else that I shouldn't say than anything else. What is one of the main things that the Carolina Hurricanes do with players? They shine up defensemen. They shine like that. The way that they play and that system that they play that shines defenders and it makes defensemen rich. Brady Shea, Brett Pesce. Like we always talk a lot about what Florida has done with Sylvain Lefebvre and how there's a lot of, your Brandon Montours and your Oliver Ekman-Larssons that have sort of gone through and then found their riches elsewhere or found a lot of success in Florida that has led to really healthy contracts for them. Most recently, Nico Mikkola, but Carolina's right there too. Carolina's got a history of doing this. They shine up their D real nice. And K-Andre Miller. Early audit. Call Corey Lavalette. Ask Corey.
Looks good.
How good does K-Andre Miller look? Yeah, take a number.
Yeah.
They all look good
Walter
when they go to
Barker.
Carolina.
In the chat here says,
Yeah?
who knew Adam Fox was the one holding back Keandre Miller?
It's just the way they play, man. Like honestly, like if you're a defenseman that wants to like shine up the career for a bigger contract, go in on a league minimum with the Carolina Hurricanes, get all polished up real nice. It's the Carolina Hurricanes defenseman car wash, come out looking shiny and squeaky, and ring the bell. That's the way.
Yeah. You're a D-man who needs to do the bet on yourself year. Head on over to Carolina. Bet on yourself there.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll come out on the other side feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I'm happy for Keandre Miller too. I just remember while I was standing beside his mom when the Rangers drafted her son, and the story's a great one. There's always so many great stories about sacrifices that families make for their children, and that is a fantastic one. Anyhow, okay, good stuff from the chat there. Also, want to finish up here. I don't know what you got coming up for this one because we got no games tonight, but here we go. The sheet is powered by FanDuel, home of the same game parlay. Make every moment more. I like that blue, by the way. Make every moment more on FanDuel. FanDuel, proud to connect fans to the major sports moments that matter to them. Okay, no NHL game day, non-game day. What do you got?
Yep. I like themes. I like bringing everything together.
Oh,
Spent the whole week, getting excited about the season starting, and then now we're 3 days in, so it's too early, and we're talking about surprises and teams that have really shown up that we maybe didn't expect to in certain ways. So with no games tonight, I'm taking a look at make-miss playoffs from a team that has had a hot start. The Boston Bruins, do they bounce back, make the playoffs, plus 320, miss the playoffs, heavily favored, minus 400 for this season, Jeff.
I really want to see Jeremy Swayman bounce back in a big way. I really want to see Charlie McAvoy stay healthy. He's one of my favorite players to watch. David Pastrnak is going to be David Pastrnak. He may win the Rocket Richard Trophy this year. I just don't know that there's enough there down the middle for the Boston Bruins to make it to the playoffs. So even though they've had the great start and you've loved them and remarked upon them already, I just don't know that there's enough from the shopping cart to come home to feed a family. I just don't see it.
I like that saying.
I'm happy to be wrong. I'm happy to be wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong about the Boston Bruins because I want to see Hampus Lindholm have another great season. We talk about like underrated,
Who left last
underrated
night, I
players,
believe, right? With injury.
Yeah, it's you know what the Bruins. The Bruins, in some ways, haven't quite been the same since the Svechnikov hit on Hampus Lindholm a couple of years ago. I use that as a demarcation point for the Boston Bruins, pre-hit, post-hit. Yeah. Anyhow.
Right.
You like him to be in or no?
No, I just thought it was interesting that it was at plus 320. Like, it's not really me thinking, oh, the Bruins will be in. It's just this Atlantic. I'm way more on your side with where the Sens are at. I don't know long term what this ends up being. Like, goaltending is going to be an important thing. I don't think that they changed too much in the offseason. I think Montreal got better. I don't think Toronto took too much of a step off. You look at Florida, like Barkov, out all year. Kachuk out for a long time. Tampa could kind of be one of those high variance teams where it goes really one way or really the other, which just it's just like all of that to say, why wouldn't the Bruins be able to squeak in? You know, like they could hang around.
I don't know, man. It's donut team, no center, right? The other thing that I think we should mention, because you mentioned the Ottawa Senators a second ago, and someone who had a great preseason and translated it into a great game one is Shane Pinto. Pinto looked great in the preseason and looked fantastic last night for the Ottawa Senators in their win over the Tampa Bay Lightning. I know he's a big favorite of the morning show, Morning Cup of Hockey, and there's a relationship there between him and the guys. He's been on before, a great interview. He's really good, and he's having a great start to the season. He kicked it off in training camp where he looked fantastic, and he's just carried that all the way through. All right. Anything else you want to share with anybody? By the way, had a great time last night. We do these events at Del Manor and got a chance to sit down and talk to Jim McKenney for an hour, who told the hilarious story about, if you haven't seen the movie Face Off, you really, really should. It's from the early 70s. It's kind of a cult classic, and Howie is in it. There's a lot of like footage they use from the NHL. And Jim was supposed to be in it as an actor. Art Hindle ended up getting the role, who's an actual actor and football player. But he told the great story that he's never seen the movie Face Off. He went to the premiere, but he dropped acid before the movie. It kind of freaked out a little bit.
The night.
We started the night with the dropping acid story before going to the gala premiere. How he taken acid before so he's never seen the movie. To this day, he's never seen the movie. It is a cult classic. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Zach. If you haven't, I got a few copies of it. Happy to give it to you. It is the wonderful thing about it is they use actual game footage from the NHL, and how he told the story about the cameras, like the camera crew going around from, Vancouver and Oakland and LA. This would have been 71, so the SEALs would have been there. And then back through like Detroit and Toronto. And because the hockey players partied so hard, they like out-partied the camera. And anyway, just a great time with Howie. And he's 78 years old, and he's still in tremendous shape. And through his work with Alcoholics Anonymous, he's done a lot of great work for a lot of great people for a very, very long time. Just a delight to hang out with Howie. Just one of the best guys you'll ever meet. And he talks openly about how alcohol affected his career and how it wrecked what was going to be a really promising career in the NHL. I thought the story about it took him a number of years until he realized his best friend Borje Salming took his job, the number one power play on point to try to make just a great night. Thanks to everybody at Del Manor, and thanks to Jim for coming out and hanging out for an hour with us. So that was a lot of fun. I know it's sort of that Jimmy's from a different vintage and much before your time, but as a broadcaster too, he was tremendous. I just love Howie. Great guy, and a lot of fun at Del Manor last night. I don't know if he took much out of it.
Yeah, that was a cool event.
He's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, the stories it was fun. I mean, just even the way he told stories and kind of dove through everything in his career to where it led him and the experiences he had and some of the people that he was around and with, like Don Cherry, through certain points.
Roommates for like two years in Rochester.
Yeah, it was fun. And definitely I have to go and watch that movie. I had never
Face Off.
I had never even heard of it. Actually, you might have brought it up once or twice here, but I'd never seen it or realized exactly what it was. So now I got to go watch it.
You got to go watch Face Off. I'll be blunt, like part of it is kind of cringe, but it's like that good, like, oh, that's cringe, but it's so awesome. And it's like, you'll see, like, and there's like tons of NHLers in it. And as I mentioned, like a lot of the game action is actually from the NHL. So a good movie. It's fun. It's about a hockey player and his romance with a musician, and she thinks that hockey's too violent, and you can see how that storyline plays itself out. Cheesy premise, 100%. I get it. Yep. The premise is like total cheeseball, but it's just a fun movie. If you get a chance, if you get a chance, go see Face Off. Get yourself a copy of Face Off and check out Cult Classic.
I will.
All right. Thanks to everyone who stopped by today. You just heard from Steph Rosner a couple of moments ago, Jeff Patterson, and the mayor, the real mayor of Vegas, the one and only Gary Lawless. On behalf of Zach, Merrick signing off here. Tip your Zamboni driver. Thanks for the buns and the use of the hall, as we like to say around these parts. And have a great weekend. No games tonight. Games on the weekend, certainly. We'll be back to talk about them Monday at 1 o'clock Eastern. And don't forget, the full lineup is back in full effect on Monday as well. Morning Cup of Hockey, Johnny Lazarus, Colby Cohen, 9 o'clock Eastern. And how about that, the addition of Elliot Friedman and James Van Riemsdyk this year to the roster of MCH. So major bumps there. And then DFO Live with Tyler Yaremchuk and Carter Hutton. So bump up in quality there as well. It's a hot lineup. Glad to have you aboard. Don't forget Daily Face-Off Insiders Edition. Wednesdays at 3 o'clock Eastern as well. And more announcements about new shows and new talent joining the network coming shortly. In the meantime, enjoy your weekend. We'll talk again on Monday. Jeff Merrick along with you. Hope you enjoyed the program today. If you did, or maybe even if you didn't, they can't all be gems, folks. Please hit the subscribe button. Also a reminder, every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, Johnny Lazarus, Colby Cohen, I call them the Impact Players. You might know them as a tandem that makes up the Morning Cup of Hockey. Also DFO Live at noon Eastern. This year, your host Tyler Yaremchuk alongside Carter Hutton. Full day's worth of programming right here on Daily Face-Off, your favorite YouTube hockey channel. And as a reminder as well, Zach Phillips, our producer here for The Sheet, said if you